June 2025. The heat of summer mirrors the rising tensions across the globe. The world is on edge, holding its breath as Iran, Israel, and Western powers find themselves locked in a dangerous standoff over Iran's increasingly controversial nuclear program. The stakes have never been higher. Military strikes have erupted, shattering the fragile peace, and global leaders are now scrambling, working tirelessly to prevent a wider war from engulfing the region and beyond. The crisis, a powder keg waiting to explode, has been building for months, fueled by mistrust and escalating rhetoric. In March, President Trump, in a move that surprised many, gave Iran just 2 months to accept a stricter, more comprehensive nuclear deal. Iran, defiant and resolute, refused to bow to the pressure. The deadline passed with no agreement in sight, and Israel, feeling it had no other choice, responded swiftly with targeted airstrikes on Iranian nuclear and critical military sites, aiming to cripple their nuclear capabilities. Israel has long vowed with unwavering determination to prevent Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons, seeing it as an existential threat to their very survival and security. Iran, enraged by the attacks, retaliated with a barrage of missile strikes on Israel, triggering a dangerous and potentially irreversible cycle of escalating attacks and counterattacks. The US and Europe are now deeply involved, walking a tightrope between condemnation and de-escalation, trying desperately to contain the burgeoning conflict through intense diplomatic negotiations and a show of force through strategic military posturing in the region. The world faces a precarious moment, a crossroads that could lead to peace or utter devastation. Direct military exchanges between Israel and Iran, a scenario long feared by experts, could spiral rapidly out of control, leading to a full-blown regional war. The stakes are nothing less than the long-term stability of the Middle East, a region already fraught with conflict and the very foundation of global security and the delicate balance of world peace. As tensions continue to rise with each passing hour, the world waits with bated breath, desperately hoping for de-escalation and a return to the negotiating table, while simultaneously fearing the outbreak of a devastating war that could have unimaginable consequences. The next moves, the decisions made in the coming days, will irrevocably shape the future of the Middle East for generations to come. At the heart of the crisis, a complex web of geopolitical tensions and conflicting narratives, is a dispute over Iran's nuclear ambitions, a disagreement that has far-reaching implications for global security and stability. On June 20th, U.S. Intelligence Chief Tulsi Gabbard, during a congressional hearing, told Congress Iran wasn't actively building a bomb, a statement that sparked considerable debate and scrutiny. Just enriching uranium, a process that, while not immediately indicative of weaponization, raises serious concerns. President Trump contradicted her, creating a stark contrast in the public understanding of the situation. Claiming new intelligence showed Iran could build a weapon within months, a timeline that significantly escalated the perceived threat. This public split, between intelligence assessments and presidential pronouncements, has fueled confusion about Iran's true intentions, leaving the international community grappling with uncertainty. Meanwhile, the International Atomic Energy Agency reports, based on their ongoing inspections and monitoring, Iran has amassed 409 kilograms of uranium, a quantity that exceeds the limit set by the 2015 nuclear deal. Enriched to 60%, a level that is significantly higher than what is needed for civilian nuclear purposes. Dangerously close to weapons grade, raising alarms about the potential for rapid weaponization. Experts warn this stockpile, given its enrichment level and quantity, could be converted into fuel for about 10 nuclear bombs, a scenario that would dramatically alter the geopolitical landscape. If further enriched, a process that could be completed relatively quickly with existing Iranian infrastructure. Iran insists its program is peaceful, asserting that it is solely for energy production and medical research, but the growing stockpile alarms Israel, which views a nuclear-armed Iran as an existential threat, and the US, who remain deeply skeptical of Iran's intentions and committed to preventing nuclear proliferation in the region. The world is left guessing, with the stakes incredibly high and the potential consequences dire. Is Iran on the brink of a bomb, poised to cross the nuclear threshold? Or is this a high-stakes bluff, a calculated move to gain leverage in international negotiations? The uncertainty only adds to the tension, creating a volatile situation with unpredictable outcomes. Tensions long simmering beneath the surface have finally erupted. The conflict has quickly escalated into open warfare, a dangerous turn of events that threatens to destabilize the entire region. After the latest failed nuclear deal deadline, hopes for de-escalation have dwindled, leaving a vacuum filled with mistrust and hostility. Israel, citing intelligence of imminent threats, launched targeted airstrikes on Iran's nuclear and military sites. The strikes were precise, aimed at crippling Iran's capabilities. Iran responded swiftly and forcefully, unleashing waves of missile attacks on Israeli cities, a direct retaliation for the strikes against their facilities. These attacks are testing Israel's missile defenses, particularly the Iron Dome system, and the nation's resolve to withstand sustained bombardment. The tit-for-tat strikes have already damaged military bases, command centers, and critical infrastructure on both sides, escalating the conflict's intensity. This rapid escalation is raising fears of a broader war, one that could engulf the entire Middle East and draw in other global powers. The U.S. is closely monitoring the situation and weighing its options, carefully considering the potential consequences of any intervention. With President Trump considering a potential strike on Iran's heavily fortified Fordo enrichment facility, the stakes are incredibly high and the decision is fraught with peril. Such a move would undoubtedly mark a major American entry into the conflict, transforming the regional dispute into a global crisis. For now, the U.S. holds back, exercising caution and restraint in the face of immense pressure to act decisively. The world is watching the fallout from Israeli strikes and the ongoing diplomatic efforts, hoping for a peaceful resolution to this escalating crisis. The world watches anxiously as two regional powers trade blows, each action carrying the potential for irreversible consequences. Both sides are issuing stern warnings, each urging the other to back down and de-escalate before the situation spirals completely out of control. The risk of miscalculation is alarmingly high, and the consequences of a single error could be catastrophic, leading to widespread devastation. The next strike, the next decision could change everything, pushing the region and perhaps the world to the brink of disaster. Amid the violence, Europe is pushing for diplomacy. On June 20th, European leaders met Iranian officials in Geneva, urging a return to talks and a halt to missile attacks. The talks ended in deadlock. Europe demanded transparency, Iran wanted sanctions relief and security guarantees. Despite the impasse, European leaders insist dialogue must continue to prevent disaster. Their approach contrasts sharply with the U.S. maximum pressure strategy of sanctions and ultimatums. Europe hopes to find a face-saving solution for both sides, but time is running out. The diplomatic window is narrow, but it's the only alternative to war. The world's hopes for peace may rest on Europe's persistence. As of June 21st, the world stands at a crossroads. Will the cycle of strikes escalate, or can diplomacy prevail? President Trump's looming decision on a U.S. military strike could redefine the conflict. The U.S. seeks a tougher nuclear deal, while Europe pushes for de-escalation. A full-scale war would devastate the region, disrupt global energy, and trigger a humanitarian crisis. The next days will determine whether the Middle East plunges into chaos or steps back from the brink. The choices made now will shape the region and the world for years to come. The world is watching, holding its breath.